Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this DOTA CEVO Season 4 main match between SNA plus 4 and AFDP. My name is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You can catch me over at GotCowDota on the Twitter, and I'm joined, as always, by my Dota ball and chain, the fantastic Toffee's Dota.
As always, good to be here. And if you guys want to head over to Twitter, you can follow me at Toffees_Dota2 for updates on upcoming matches and all the fun tournaments we do. Because apparently, Gorgon and I think we might be the hardest working casters in show business.
We very well might be the hardest working casters that you don't know in show business, but hopefully you'll know us at the end of this cast tonight.
Absolutely. So glad you could join us here tonight for this matchup of SNA plus 4 and America's finest Dota players. I like SNA plus 4 as a new meme icon. That's a brand new one on me.
Yeah, no, I like their what is that, like a flag? I'm not sure what to call it, but whatever it is, the little picture of IS Mike praising the mustache, you really can't hate it.
So, the
So,
man, the myth, the mustache.
for anybody who last checked in on the CEVO, or generally this area of play, either CEVO or AD2L or Tex, any of those competitive level community style tournaments, who are confused to see IX Mike playing for somebody other than Wild Witch Doctors, can you go ahead and give them a rundown on what exactly happened there?
A quick update on SNA plus 4. You might notice a couple of the names in there. Bry is actually Whitebeard Dota, for those of you who may not know, as well as, I believe, KVH. No, Oosh. A couple of guys. Basically, what happened is IX Mike and SNA used to play with Wild Witch Doctors. They did break off and start SNA plus 4, and then they invited Whitebeard, and I believe it was Oosh, and possibly KVH, now that I'm seeing the name, over from, if I remember correctly, correct my memory here, it was Denial Esports. So
yes, I believe so.
So Denial Esports and Wild Witch Doctors essentially came together to create SNA plus 4, and then a couple of other teams came together off of that breakup. So a lot of shakeup in the North American scene. A lot of these teams knowing, I think it's with the creation of this whole Star Ladder America thing and the emergence of a lot of these larger tournaments like CEVO with decent prize pools. A lot of these teams, a lot of North American teams are sort of reforming, rehustling, and trying to find makeups that work for them so that they can become a part of this burgeoning scene.
Yeah, no, I'd also like to point out that a lot of the other, basically all North and South America is in a hustle, like you said, in terms of their general makeup and layout. There was that big "how do you do with Fluff?" I don't know if you read about that.
I did. I heard about it though.
So yeah, Liquid Fluff saying that either he's going to be the captain of Liquid again, or he's going to find another team, dropping an ultimatum. Swag just recently picked up some sponsors, and they're of course like the first major Brazilian team to have a sponsorship. So all of the American Dota is kind of in turmoil right now, but we see a lot of potential coming out of these squads. And a lot of evolution towards competitive style gameplay, maybe on par with what you see in the Chinese scene or the European scene. And SNA plus 4 has the potential to be one of those squads.
It's definitely a scene that is in flux. Now, that said, I want to talk a little bit about America's finest Dota players. So SNA plus 4 is made up of mainstays in the semi-pro, borderline, and pro scene, people who we know a lot of those names or have heard of before, coming together to kind of create a team, I hope, that is looking to make a name for themselves, because I think with this lineup, they definitely can. AFDP, on the other hand, has done it by the bootstrap system. They've been working their way up. I watched them over the last 6 months or so, fighting their way through the amateur league, starting the amateur tournaments, and just winning them and having great performances consistently. That brings them to where they are today, which is standing toe-to-toe with IX Mike 88 and other teams like eHug in the same tournament. And they've really done well to make a name for themselves. So what we have on the top is made of players, for lack of a better word, that are coming together to form something bigger, it looks like. Whereas on the bottom, we've got a homegrown group that looks like they want to stand up and say, this is what American Dota is about. We're going to create synergy from the grassroots level and take it to find ourselves a sponsor.
And it's also nice to see up-and-coming teams like America's finest Dota players, if only because it reminds you that everybody comes from a community level at some point in time. Nobody is just born into the Dota 2 scene as a professional player. And AFDP certainly has the ability to take games off of a team like SNA plus 4.
Definitely. And I think that they not only have the ability, they have far more to lose and far more to gain, if that makes sense. They're coming in here knowing there's a match ahead of them. They've probably done a lot of preparation. And if they can take this game down, it really says a lot about where they are as a team and can bring attention to a lot of potential sponsors and the ability to move into some bigger leagues. So this is exciting to see AFTP in this matchup, and I look forward to seeing them how they perform.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and get into our draft? Also noting that this is only Team SNA plus 4's first or second game. They won their first game here with CEVO. America's Finest Dota players are sitting at a record of 1-2. So they're not doing quite as well, and they really want to make sure that they particularly take this game against one of the stronger CEVO squads to make sure that they are asserting themselves in these brackets.
And I think the first thing we're going to talk about is it's interesting. We see the Darkseer picked up as the off lane. Now, with Wild Witch Doctors, the last team that IX Mike played with, he was exclusively off lane. I don't know if that's going to stand the same because we all know Liquid IX Mike that we know and fell in love with back in the last TI was a hard support player. So will he return to that? Will he stay in the off lane? It's all in flux, and I'm not sure. But I don't think of Darkseer as a traditional IX Mike hero.
No, I have. Well, we don't really think of Darkseer as a traditional anyone hero now. You used to see him a whole bunch, and he really fell off. Though I think that we'll see a little bit more of him now that Ion Shell has a 1 second fewer cooldown. Coming back that 1 extra second allows for a significant amount of early game harass that you could not do. It also significantly bolsters his ability to jungle, which is one of the very important aspects of an offlaner. How readily can that hero go into the jungle and catch up on levels if he falls behind?
And now we see Invoker picked up by America's Finest Dota players and Timbersaw, Rubik, a little more of a classic pickup here. SNA plus 4, worth noting though, 3 heroes that would traditionally be considered supports picked up on that top group.
Yeah, and that is interesting to me. SNA plus 4 going for a very, very light, very, very gankable strategy. And there's already Timbersaw on the table. A Bounty Hunter could come out here for some additional kill potential. The Nyx Assassin and the Bat Rider, to SNA's credit, have already been banned out. But there are still a lot of potential gankers running around here in the draft. And I think that's something that they really have to be worried about. Because despite the fact that they have a whole bunch of support, they only have one hard disable that's reliable, and that's Shackles. And that's a channeling spell.
Right. So interesting choices here. I'm really curious to see what they pick up in that 4th position. I mean, at the moment, I'm not even sure where they're going to play these heroes. Since, I mean, I guess you could play Ancient Apparition with a little more of a farm base, or possibly that Shadow Shaman as someone that you're trying to get the Ag Scepter up on very quickly for some tower pushing.
Yeah, I'm thinking Darkseer is going to be your off lane. Then you'll see Shadow Shaman and, well, let's see. Shadow Shaman. I'm torn between whether the Ancient Apparition or the Shadow Shaman are going to be taking that mid role. I would guess Shadow Shaman is going to be going to the mid role, with Ancient Apparition and Disruptor doing a support on a farming carry of some sort. But like you said, this is such an abnormal draft that is very, very difficult to really call it out. And America's Finest Dota players not falling into a super heavy gank strategy as you might expect going up against such squishy heroes.
No, it looks like they're going for control. They're going for a tried and true type of strategy. I think that the SNA plus 4 picks have maybe put them a little bit off, and they think, we'll try to get some counters, but really we're just going to play our game. And I wonder if we might see an Ancient Apparition played in a non-support role. Ancient Apparition, I've always kind of wondered about. His stats don't roll up as well as obviously normal non-supports. However, his skills do give him the ability to pick up some gear and be a fairly strong right clicker in the late game, especially if he's using that chilling touch, because it obviously does the buff to him as well as whoever he buffs. So him as a strong right clicker along with a hard carry could be very powerful. I've always wondered, could he be very powerful with the right gear? It'd be interesting to see them play it that way.
So now I have seen Ancient Apparition played in a mid position as a semi-farmer to get up the quick Ganums so that you have that global presence. But usually when you see that, you see it alongside some AoE spells. Right now all we have is, well, I guess you have the Vacuum into the kinetic field with the wall and potentially the Static Storm as well. So they have some potential AoE, but it requires a lot of coordination. And SNA at the moment, like we had said before, just very squishy. Even Ancient Apparition, if given all the items he could possibly want, is going to be an extremely easy to kill hero in terms of just DPSing him down. Yes, he is going to be able to pump out a lot of damage, but he can only pump out damage as long as he's alive. And his strength gain is not superb.
Yeah. I would be interested to see. They are right now. They're depending a lot on that vacuum. That vacuum goes off, followed by disruptors, kinetic field, and static storm. A ice blast out of the ancient apparition and a mass serpent ward from the shadow shaman can literally obliterate an entire team without a second thought. I wonder if that's what they're going for. If we're going to see something that has a strong AOE presence, like a Luna or a gyrocopter, or maybe even a faceless void picked up here for SNA plus 4. Because it seems like they're really going for that aggressive team fight and then a little bit of tower push.
Yeah, I'm curious what America's Finest Dota players' overall strategy up against this is going to be, because, like I said, the obvious strategy here is just get a lot of gankers and really pick on that Ancient Apparition and the Shadow Shaman. There's going to be the Spectre. That's going to be some global initiation along with the Ancient Apparition. I like that pick as a farmer.
Yeah.
Gets going earlier than some late game carries, but goes late extremely hard. So they do have a fallback plan on that Spectre. And right now, America's Finest Dota players don't have anybody who carries as hard as that Spectre. So SNA can do well early. They can do well late. And with the proper coordination, they can really execute quite strongly in the mid game as well. So even though it's an atypical draft, they seem to have a good idea of where they're going with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I see that that's what they're looking for. Is that should be a really nice 4 farm 1 strategy. Those 4 are going to be able to do a lot of work, put up some really good team fights, lean on some towers, and keep America's Finest Dota players on their toes, while Spectre just farms and is able to jump in on any fight those 4 initiate.
Well, Gyrocopter is going to change that around quite a bit, seeing how Gyrocopter is going to be able to push harder than Spectre and is also going to be hitting a little bit harder, I would expect. He's possibly the hardest late game carry if given as much farm as possible. And I don't know. Could really go either way, but AFDP, if they coordinate well and manage to take advantage of the squishiness coming out of SNA plus 4, they have a pretty solid chance ahead of them of taking this game 1 fairly decisively.
I think that this game is going to come down in a lot of ways to this early laning phase. I think that if AFDP can get in there and they can slow the roll of SNA plus 4, I think they're going to be in a really strong position to win this match. However, if SNA plus 4 is able to dominate them, which is sort of what their draft is aiming to do in the laning phase, they're going to have a really hard time coming back into this game. So laning phase is where I think we're going to see the building blocks for. I know it's redundant to say that's where the building blocks for the entire game are going to come in, because that's always where they come in. But I think it's going to be especially important here.
Yeah, more so in a game like this where SNA plus 4 has the tools to ramp very steadily into the game. They're not really a snowball sort of team. They're a team that wants to get a lead and then maintain a slow, steady growth of that lead through proper execution. They don't have somebody like a Timbersaw who really not only needs to get ahead, but then needs to accelerate the rate at which he continues to get ahead. Timbersaw, and AFDP has a little bit more of that style of gameplay. They've got the Gyrocopter, who is going to come out of the gate very strong but then fall off. And when that Gyrocopter falls off, they're going to be leaning very heavily on the Timbersaw and the Invoker. Timbersaw is going to have a rough early game. And I think a lot of this game is going to come down to whether or not that Timbersaw is able to get his levels up and make himself and assert himself basically throughout this mid game. Because if he's not able to assert himself and the Gyrocopter is unable to assert himself while he's farming, then it's going to be a 3-on-4 between AFDP and SNA plus 4 for a good chunk of the game. SNA plus 4 are going to have better mid-game, early-game heroes for that 3-on-4 and the numbers advantage, and they could really take away the game. But if that Timbersaw is in and active, then the squish coming out of SNA plus 4 could very well come back and bite them in the bum. So,
absolutely.
I'm going to go ahead and run through our Radiant side team here for AFDP, America's Finest Dota players. We've got Bidman. You can follow him at Bidman on the Timbersaw. Ain't worried about none on the Rubik. We've got Cubby on the Invoker. Shooty is going to be taking that Earthshaker, and Buko Love Taney is going to be farming out that Gyrocopter.
And then up on the dire side for SNA plus 4, the Masters of the Mustache, we've got BRY, who's actually Whitebeard Dota playing the Disruptor. We're going to have the SNA playing the Ancient Apparition. We're going to have KVH playing the Spectre. We're going to have Oosh playing the Shadow Shaman. And our question is answered as IX Mike 88 will be playing the off-laning Dark Seer.
Okay, so that Shadow Shaman is going to go mid, as I had kind of suspected there. That makes most sense to me. Like I said, Ancient Apparition, I've seen him in a mid role, I've seen him in a farming role, but Shadow Shaman can be really, really dangerous if you get him up in early Ag's Refresher combo. His impact on towers is staggering with that early combo. And since they're probably going to be doing a 4-for-1 for the bulk of the game, having that ability to push down towers and apply pressure will just open up the map that much more for Spectres trying to farm.
Definitely. And I do want to clarify something a little bit earlier. I stated that Oosh and I said that Oosh was possibly from why is this not sticking in my head? Denial Esports. He's actually from the original WWD. So Oosh, SNA, and IX Mike all did come over from that team.
And WWD, of course, now sitting with a very stand-in-ish sort of roster. And Oosh taking the first last hit he can with his lightning. Timbersaw getting harassed out of the lane here as well. And down in the bottom lane, it looks like we might see a little bit of action on IX Mike. Look at this. IX Mike already doing double ion shell because he can. Thanks to the strength of that change. There is going to be a telekinesis. He is pulled back into the rocket barrage. A very nice body block coming out of Shooty, but there is no stun. The stun comes late. And IX Mike will get away with a little bit over 100 health.
Yeah, the stun came late, and it created a really strong barrier right across the map here, so that they couldn't run on the inside. So it gave IX Mike an escape track right down the inside, and they were unable to chase him even if they wanted to. Yeah,
that was maybe a little bit of miscommunication. That stun really should have come out on the location that Rubik was going to drop.
Look at Whitebeard up on the top lane right now.
Yeah, he's just keeping Bidman trapped into these woods. And this is what I was worried about. Such a strong early game lane is going to be very difficult for Timbersaw to handle, particularly because he's so dependent on reactive armor, which is not really how Bry is going to be harassing him, and certainly not how he's going to be harassed by SNA if SNA decides to come in and start doing some harassing as well.
Yeah, he's actually gone through he's already used I think 2 of his shared tangos, and he's probably going to have to use that healing self soon. Bry is giving him tons of harassment with that Thunder Strike, and it is being very, very effective at keeping him completely out of the experience range.
Thunder Strike is just such a strong early game harassment skill. Not only is it great against an offlane, but it's also great against a 2-1-2 situation because you can harass both members of your opponent's team simultaneously. Looks like there is going to be a double damage rune picked up here by Shadow Shaman. Who, does he have his bottle up yet? He does. So he will be coming back to lane.
Timbersaw up on the top lane. Bidman has 36 XP to his name so far in this match.
Yeah, he's been completely zoned out.
And that's 2 minutes and 23 seconds.
Exactly what I was worried about for AFDP. This is the name of the game for SNA +4. Keep that Timbersaw back. As soon as the gyrocopter falls off his first high, where his rocket barrage is not as scary and he needs to go back and farm up his Helm of the Dominator, his BKB, whatever it is that he's going to get, at that point in time, that's when we are really going to see SNA start to push the issue on towers. They're going to have a 4-for-1 advantage and better early game heroes.
Bidman getting really low. This could be it for Bidman.
Up here, Bidman. Nope,
Dagger
he's going to salve himself up.
He got very low, salves himself at the last second, so he basically slipped into the woods and was trying to steal a little bit of farm, and Bry not having it, came down into the water. And
okay, here's a very nice fissure coming out of Shooty. That one does not miss. There's going to be the telekinesis followed by the rocket barrage, and IX Mike is going to juke south, letting his creeps do the farming on the Ion Shell as he is being surrounded. Shooty is getting a clarity up here, and he should have a stun any moment. He's got his fissure up now. Will he aim it out? He does manage to hit it. Cuts off IX Mike. IX Mike no longer has a surge up for a couple seconds. There's going to be the body block. IX Mike throwing out one auto attack and then trying to get away. And it looks like IX Mike is going to get away. He's got a surge here in 1 second, and they are not going to be able to catch him. Once again, just a little bit of a miscommunication coming out of AFDP. The telekinesis went off before the stun from the fissure wore off.
Good measured play by IX Mike. He didn't get worked up. He didn't freak out. There wasn't excessive juking. He just waited, made sure he had vision on his opponents, and then just made sure that he had position on them at all times.
Yeah, it's really the difference between a pro player and a community level player or a competitive level player is so often that ability to run in a straight line when you need to and juke when you need to. have that self-control to not freak out when you're in that position. A lot of players
Oh,
also...
up on top. Bidman's in some serious trouble.
Bidman is getting hit, and the Shadow Shaman was thinking about coming up, but it looks like he's going to come all the way around the secret shop. So Bidman not out of trouble yet, even though he thinks he's gotten away. Okay, here's going to be the shackle. Looks like, no, he's just going to get hit by the lightning. Lightning being leveled for farming. It's already being maxed. It's already level 3. And that has been helping Shadow Shaman stay on top of the last hits as well. He is dominating his lane, sitting at a full 5 last hits ahead of the Invoker.
Also, to just really point out, super amazing self-control out of that team up on top. Spectre and Bry saw the haste rune picked up by Shadow Shaman, fell off, let him think that he was safe, and Bidman thought, oh, I outpaced him, and actually turned back and started to move back towards that tower, giving enough time for Shadow Shaman to circle around and get himself that kill.
Yeah, very, very nice feint coming out of SNA +4. Oh, you got away from us. You got away. You're safe. Go ahead and heal up. Oh, Shadow Shaman is right behind you. And the old bait and switch coming out for SNA +4, getting them that first blood. And once again, keeping that Timber Saw down. The more they can keep that Timber Saw down, the better off their mid-game is going to be. Shooty, and ain't worried about none, are rotating around behind Ush, and Ush is definitely going to go down here. Some auto attacks going out. Invoker is going to get that kill. Much needed. He is also going to take a lot of auto attacks from the tower, not changing the aggro, but he does have himself a Midas now. That's a 530 Midas. First use is going to come out here, presumably right around 6 minutes.
So a nice, very fast Midas. Not too shabby getting things up and running quickly.
Yeah, that's a very fast Midas, especially considering he's losing his lane.
Yeah, and look at that hero level stack ranking right there. Timbersaw has 42 experience into his level 2 at 6 minutes into the match right now.
This is going to mean a lot of trouble coming out for AFDP in the mid lane. In the mid here, we do see Invoker go down to the Serpent Wards. Serpent Ward's now doing a fair amount of damage over to Bidman. They're so scary in the early game, and Bidman thinking he's a little more survivable than he is there. Reactive armor does not activate from Serpent Wards, I don't think, or does it? It is. No, it is reacting. It's just the Serpent Wards are absolutely wrecking him despite that. He just does. It's because he's level 2 is why. Oh, and he's going to be Ether Shock down. As a passing glance, he was just going to walk in and throw him down with his magic voodoo.
So SNA looking now moving to the bottom, and I don't know. Let me take a quick look at this last hit. Spectre doing very well for himself, but Gyrocopter not far behind in that last hit battle. Net worth though definitely so far going the way of the Dire, but not out of control at this moment.
Yeah, the Shadow Shaman is getting pretty far out in the lead at this point. Like, he is up with the Spectre, the safe lane farmer, in terms of last hits. He's also keeping up with the Gyrocopter. And his items that he needs in total are going to be less expensive than the items that either of those two need in total to make himself very effective and hit his peak. So expect that Shadow Shaman to become very, very dangerous very, very quickly.
Yeah.
In fact, what's he got coming out to him? Because he just bought something.
It's a magic wand.
I'm surprised to see how little farm that actually comes out to, but I guess he did go for the bottle. And he did end up rushing his mana boots, which surprises me a little bit. Yeah,
well, he's a very mana-dependent hero, especially he's going to want to be using those wards on cooldown early on in this matchup, and that's 200 mana, and he really also has to be able to afford the Hex, the Shackles at any given time, and have the Ether Shock basically running on cooldown to keep this Invoker down. So his mana consumption is massive.
In the bottom lane, SNA +4, or SNA, wow, it is going to be pulled back by the Telekinesis and Rocket Barrage. They're all the way down, sent back to the fountain by that Gyrocopter. And it looks like we did lose Toffees here, but he might still be in the chat.
I can hear you. Yeah, I just disconnected for some reason. So that was such a badass move on SNA that it disconnected my computer.
Well, we will have him back, and I'll continue to do our play-by-play while he's gone. Shooty is grabbing a haste rune and moving in behind Ush. Ush is going to go ahead and drop the Serpent Wards on. Ain't worried about none. Ain't worried about none. Is going to try to back out. One last auto attack from the ward is going to secure it.
That little ward on the end that was just barely in range gets the kill.
I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Yes!
So he tried to make a ward. He tried to get him in a ward trap. It didn't work out, but at the end of the day, he got the kill. And that's what they wanted to do, is they wanted to get that ward up fast, and they wanted to give him the mana to use it when he needed to. Because normally you see that ward come up around the 10, 12 minute mark to start pushing towers. If you can get it up at 7 on a mid Shadow Shaman, that gives you at least 2 or 3 very easy kills that go the way of slowing your opponents down and putting a little more farm onto that Shadow Shaman. After that kill that Gyrocopter got, he has gone ahead and taken the top of the net worth, but
really, in terms of overall map control, it seems like SNA +4 is taking advantage of their early game lineup, although their bottom tower is going to be pushed in here if they do not respond. Oosh coming in. Serpent Ward's still on cooldown for 50 seconds. The call down going out defensively is going to do a fair amount of damage to Oosh, who aftershocks out to Shooty. Taney is going to escape the cold feet. And it looks like the Invoker's coming in here. They want to get this tower, and they also maybe want to get some kills. Tornado Whiff splitting the wickets.
So yeah, and they fall back just a second. They grab the creeps, and they should be able to get this tower without a problem.
Aftershock followed by the lift. There's a Fade Bolt, and the Rocket Barrage is going to secure that kill for Gyrocopter. Oosh is going to go down, and it looks like this tower is not long for the world either. SNA taking a hit from the Cold Snap. He is also taking some auto attacks, and he is narrowly getting away at the moment. A Fade Bolt will secure it. Yes. Fade Bolt goes out. IX Mike trying to get away. And suddenly AFTP really asserting their dominance in this early game. However, it is worth noting that during all of this, Spectre is still just farming away. So they are at least opening up space as expected for the Spectre.
And it's interesting to note they did not bring in Bry and they did not bring in Spectre. They chose to lose the tower and potentially get some kills, instead to let KVH farm. But more importantly, during that entire process, Bry never stopped harassing Bidman. Bidman still level 4 with the lowest XP on the entire map. So they actually gave up those kills knowing that it was important for them to make sure that Bidman stayed down so aggressively that they were willing to give probably they planned on maybe a tower and no deaths, and the 2 were just an accident.
Yeah, I don't know that there was anything that the Disruptor would have been able to do to stop those deaths unless he teleported down much earlier. And then suddenly you're letting that Timbersaw get a lot more experience. IX Mike has, oh wow, Oosh is going to jump in. The AA ult does land, and now he's just going to be shackled down until he dies from it. Darkseer grabbing that kill with the Ion Shell. And now they are going to go ahead and push in on the tower. Serpent Wards are up, yep, and they are going to be dropped. One teleport here coming in just to the east of the tower. And
Shaker will use the stun, but he has to be very careful with how he does it.
Oh, he just narrowly screwed that up and ended up putting IX Mike on the wrong side of the tracks here. IX Mike is going to be getting home scot-free. And this tower's still in a little bit of trouble.
Up on top right now, Bidman in some serious trouble. He's caught inside of the corral of death, and he's going to die.
He does go down. Meanwhile, down here, Shooty now in trouble. He's been held down by Oosh, and Oosh grabbing, well, it looks like Darkseer got that kill, but Oosh really securing that kill for all intents and purposes.
I think Darkseer gave him the Ion Shell, if I don't miss my guess. Oosh moved into range and was able to shackle him so that he was taking the Ion Shell damage while he was also in range of the Serpent Wards.
Meanwhile, this whole time, Spectre just farming away, still a little bit behind Gyrocopter, which is very nice for SNA +4, or very nice for AFTP, excuse me. But Gyrocopter is about to fall off in terms of his ability to be really effective throughout this portion of the game. And he's still a fair distance away from getting that BKB up, at which point he'll feel a little bit more assertive again. So both these farming carries looking to kind of plant their feet. But unfortunately for AFTP, because that Timbersaw is so far behind, Gyrocopter really has no option except be involved. Very nice stolen Mass Serpent Ward. That is going to be used to grab this top tower, and it looks like from behind, IX Mike trying to do something cheeky here, running through with the Ion Shell. The Tornado does save him from the Timber Chain, but he is going to be lifted, and the A ult, it does come in. IX Mike goes down, the A ult manages to land on Bidman. Bidman is probably going to go down to it. Yes, he does. The Spectre has ulted. He's going to come in for the Invoker, getting Invoker down fairly low. The tower is destroyed by the Rubik's Mass Serpent Wards, and Spectre is forced to back out there for a one-for-one trade. Also getting a tower the way of AFTP, and furthering that Gyrocopter's farming lead over the Spectre.
Yeah, so Rubik able to steal obviously one of the most valuable spells in the game and use it against them is going to help AFTP out a lot here. They are struggling to keep up just a little bit, but they has not slowed them. Here they go.
There's going to be a move here, and yeah, the EMP just blows him up. There's really no opportunity for him to react whatsoever between Tornado and the Fissure. It looks like, yeah, Rubik going down here to Oosh. Oosh is also going to go ahead and hold in Shooty within the Serpent Wards. That's 2. My camera went a little haywire on that, trying to figure out where the Serpent Wards were going down. That's just kind of zigzagging all around. Like, where are they? Where is it?
You got the jukes. You got the jukes.
In the bottom lane, looks like Bidman is potentially going to go down to IX Mike. He's trying to juke around to the top. He does throw out the Timber Chain. He's going back into, another Ion Shell is just going to secure that. The creep doing the dirty work for IX Mike. He doesn't even need to go in for it.
I think he actually, did he surge that creep?
Yeah, he very well may have.
That's hilarious.
There's another thing you can actually do with the Surge. In your safe lane, if you are a single safe lane Darkseer, you can surge your wizard to get your wizard way out in front. It does equalize. Oh, we're going to see Cubby go down here. Maybe one last auto attack. There's going to be the glimpse as well. And oh, Ghost walked. And he is going to get away with 50 health. Very nice. But yeah, you can surge your wizard creep so that it goes into battle sooner and dies really quickly. And then your creep wave will end up equalizing closer to your tower than it otherwise would have. It's not quite as good as a strong block, but if you miss your block, you can surge that wizard creep and kind of make up some lost ground.
Interesting.
Yeah, Darkseer is full of cheeky little tricks.
And that's it. You know, like that was the fun of Darkseer back in the TI period, was the vacuums up onto the wall and all those clever ways to use the Darkseer.
Yeah.
So fun to see him back.
Oh boy, Ush is going to move on Shooty here. There's IXMI coming in and making sure. And AFDP really starting to very regularly get out in front of their realm of control. They don't have super stellar vision. They have some defensive vision here. They have some defensive vision up on top, but they don't really have anything to protect them in the lane, and they need to stay by towers at this point. And they have not really gotten that memo yet, particularly these supports, both of whom are still level 6 for AFDP. All right, Gyrocopter comes in. This is looking to be a big how do you do. IXMI coming in. He drops the wall. He pulls in the vacuum. Ush is going to come in with the Aftershock. There's an auto attack. The call down coming down, doing a fair amount of damage to Ush. Ush is going to go down to that. It looks like the mechanism goes out. Timber Chain and Binman is able to secure that kill. There's a very nice stun coming out of the Earthshaker. Manages to grab the second kill. There's going to be Timber Chain SNA taking a little bit of damage from the Chakra. Meanwhile, Gyrocopter is coming up after BRY. BRY taking some out damage. He does try to juke around and teleport out, and he does manage to get away from Bukotani. And two very nice jukes coming out of SNA +4. Turn a disaster into a 2-for-1 trade with a tower.
That didn't go the way they wanted, but honestly, SNA's execution on engagement there, I don't know if you saw that Disruptor threw out that kinetic shield initially right here that forced the entire team to try and run away from him by ducking down into the lane. And Darkseer was hiding in the bushes right here, and the second that it happened, he popped out, vacuumed the entire team, and they lit him on fire with the Disruptor's next fields and his ulti. So I don't know how they got out of that.
Bukotani in a little bit of trouble here. Ush is going to go ahead and shackle him after the glimpse, and he is going to go down. Yeah, it was very... SNA has been executing extremely well. And even a situation that looked like it was going to be a losing situation, I would argue that they won that fight. 2-for-1 trade with a tower.
Absolutely.
That's a trade that you should be willing to make 9 times out of 10, particularly if you're already in the lead. That gold lead now sitting at about 4,500. The experience lead at about 5,000. Ain't worried about nothing. Is going to go ahead and lift up KVH and throw down the Fade Bolt. Timbersaw coming in as well, but Timbersaw is just so low level. I don't know that there's a whole lot that he can do here. He's going to try to move in. He has the Whirling Death. And a Courier got picked off during that. Fortunately for Bidman, Rubik was able to catch up and throws out that Fade Bolt. Manages to secure that kill.
Yeah, and SNA, for all lack of a better description, is a newish team. I mean, they've only recently come together into their modern form, and they, for being fairly new together, their communication is exquisite.
And part of that is because all of these players have played together before, I believe. I believe that they're all friends. And so they might be new on a competitive scene, but I'm pretty sure that all of these players have played with each other, if not together, then individually. And 3 of these members used to be on a team together, and they're all fairly high-level players. So I would expect some pretty solid communication, but you're right. Even this is above and beyond even what I would naturally expect for game number 2 of this team's. I don't know that they've played anywhere else at all yet. I think
they've shown up in a couple of my Tex and SCCS tournaments, but I haven't seen them in anything.
So they've done maybe like 5 tournament games, something
probably
along those
about
lines.
Right. Something
and they
about
are
that.
executing extremely well. Gyrocopter being forced to stack his own Ancients, which is not really ideal in terms of your overall farm. And he's just going to stand in the discotheque. What is it today with people standing in the discotheque? And KVH is going to move in on that. Tiny is going to get away with 117 health, narrowly escaping the shatter point.
Only because of a excellently, I mean, that stun or that,
that fissure.
That fissure by Earthshaker was phenomenal. Literally at the peak of range, he aimed it just right to slow him and get that stun. Otherwise, that would have been a kill. All
right, there is the Blink Dagger up on Ushi. He's going to come in, throw down on the Rubik, and Timbersaw trying to help out, but there's not a lot that he can do. Ush also has the Aegis, so he's moving in. He's got a double damage run up. There's going to be Tornado and the call down. BRY is going to go down some auto attacks. Here comes the Chakram and the Gyrocopter throwing up the BKB, which is up. SNA has 1 more auto attack left on him, and that's going to come out from the Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter taking that farm. And It looks like Shadow Shaman is just going to back out. This is going to be a tower in addition for AFDP, really asserting their dominance here. At this stage, this is right when I would have expected them to start to fall off. Or I guess the last 5 minutes. Oh, Oosh is coming in. He does drop the Master Rewards. He uses his chicken abilities there. There goes the Tornado. Does hit IX Mike. The homing missile is going to land on Oosh. Oosh is taking some auto attack damage coming out of the Invoker, but the Mechanism is going to get him back up to shake. The Surge goes up on IX Mike, but he is being blocked by Oosh. Oosh is going to blink in, throws down the Aftershock, followed by 2 auto attacks. The smoke of the Seat goes out in a panic defensive move. Buko is coming in here, and he does manage to take the Aegis away from Oosh. Now, the IX Mike on the Darkseer just coming in doing a lot of harass with that Ion Shell, hitting the whole team. The homing missile coming in, trying to take him down. And now Buko wants to get that kill before he goes down, but he's unable to. One more auto attack on IX Mike would be enough, but it's not going to be there as the Invoker is, taken down. What stellar play for SNA +4. At several points of time in that conflict, it looked like they were going to be turning in their chips and losing down. IX Mike playing the edges of sanity.
No kidding. That took margins to a new level. Up on top lane right now, it looks like
jump my camera up there just in time to watch KVH disappear. I'm not sure how much health he had, but could not have been much.
No, I think he thought he could jump up and get a tower push while most of the team was down, and they made him pay for that. But that fight in mid was crazy. Worth noting a few things. Shadow Shaman, not your traditional carry, is sitting on a Blink Dagger and just got his BKB up as well. So BKB is on its way to him once he is able to get his hands on the Courier. So that's a pretty big item for a Shadow Shaman to have at 20 minutes in the game.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to see that he prioritized BKB over something like a Refresher. The Blink Dagger makes sense to me. I've seen Blink Dagger on Shadow Shaman before, usually in like pub games where somebody goes, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and farm out the Shadow Shaman because we don't have a farming carry or whatever. But Blink Dagger and Shadow Shaman, as we're seeing, extremely effective. He's able to get in and disable almost an entire team at a whim. But the BKB implies that he wants to be around and able to do as much DPS and as much casting as possible without being slowed or disabled in any sort of way. And at the moment, he doesn't seem to be having too much trouble with that. So that surprises me a little bit.
It's worth mentioning also Ags just went up on the Ancient Apparition, Radiance on the Spectre as well, and then 3 Blink Daggers over on the side of SNA +4.
Yeah. Well, they have to be extremely mobile, A, because they're so squishy, and B, because they're so dependent on Ush's disables. Everybody has to be able to move in as soon as those disables go off. And he is going to blink in here, moving in on Bukotani. Bukotani is also going to be shackled down here into the Master Rewards. He goes down. Meanwhile, Shooty is going to go down in the Disruptor field, and Invoker barely able to go walk away. Rubik not going to be so lucky. He does manage to go down as well, and the Master Rewards now going to take down the tower. That was a blitzkrieg.
Great play. The Invoker just barely stepped out with his life, but they're just showing their dominance in this position. Right now, they're at about 9,000 gold to the advantage on SNA +4 and well over 11,000 to the XP. So they are way ahead. Shadow Shaman actually 15, trumping the rest of the field by at least 2 levels and the rest of his opponents by 3. Story of the game, though, Timbersaw still 10.
Yeah, so this is exactly what I was I was a little confused by, a lack of dominance by SNA +4 during this stage of the game. Well, no reason to be confused. If we do look at the gold chart, when I said that it was about 19 minutes, and I said, oh, now in the past 5 minutes, I really would have expected a pretty dominating performance coming out of SNA. If we look at the gold chart, that's exactly when it starts to drop off. And no surprise there. The Timbersaw was going to be relied on for the mid-game potential of AFDP, and now they have to try and get all the way to the late game with nobody carrying them through the mid-game.
Yeah.
And that's the danger of that's just the danger of that Timbersaw offlane. It's one of the reasons that I'm not as fond of Timbersaw as a lot of people within the general meta. He is not able to retire to other lanes. He's not able to retire to the jungle. He's not able to retire to Ancients to catch his levels back up. Now, we are going to see Oosh come in, pop the BKB, go ahead and throw down the shackles. He's holding down Bukotani. Bukotani is now going to be silenced, and very nice vacuum in the connected field. However, the BKB does go up. Bukotani is down to about 250 health. The Ice Mike goes down. The call down coming down, doing a lot of damage to Oosh. Oosh goes down as well. SNA is also getting auto attacked down here by the Invoker. Invoker is trying to catch him. What a nice juke, but it will not be enough as the Gyrocopter is able to grab that for a multi-kill. Some items going out to our viewers. Congratulations. And congratulations, AFDP, finally turning something around here and showing that this game is not over yet.
Yeah, they definitely showed signs of life there. They got a 4 for none. Spectre, however, gets himself Rubik. So Rubik...
He's also going to go ahead and grab himself, grabs himself the Earthshaker here as well behind the tier 2.
So that was the benefit of of the Spectre, right? Is they know that after that fight, everyone's low. He just waits for a minute or two for them to split off, sees the rest of the team pop up mid, and says, "All right, now's the time."
Yeah, he's
and
had
gets himself
Radiance for
kills.
quite some time as well. Invoker's going to come in here and try to take him out. He knows Spectre does not have the ultimate for the escape. There goes the Tornado, followed by potentially an EMP. Yeah, the EMP goes off, but it does miss. The homing missile's going to come in, and that should secure the kill. Gyrocopter's going to use the call down, and that is going to be all it is for that Spectre. Very nice little gold boost for the Gyrocopter, who is now only about 1,000, about 900 behind that Spectre in terms of farm.
Yeah, it's right before he died, though, it is worth noting he was able to buy the refresher orb recipe, and it looks like he also picked up a iron branch just to make sure that all of his gold was gone. When he went down, I think he had about 56 gold left on him.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. If you're going to go down, make sure you buy anything that you can find a use for with whatever gold you have. Taking a look at some of our items, since we really haven't in a while. I've been flashing them up on the screen, but we haven't talked about it. Since we have a pause, a moment's break, we can kind of go over that. Spectre has had that Radiance up for, like I said, a little bit of time now. And 3 Blink Daggers, that we already said. The BKB up on the Shadow Shaman. Ancient Apparition has that Ganums. Darkseer has had that Mechanism up for some time. But for AFDP, 4 staff up on the Invoker. That Midas has not really been paying for itself so far, to be 100% honest. Invoker kind of behind in the farm.
Yeah.
Is he way down on kills? Seems like... Yeah, well, no, he's only -1. He's got 8 assists. I'm surprised he doesn't have more money, to be honest. He must not be using that Midas. Yeah, it's off cooldown right now. He's probably not using it every time it cools down right away, which that adds up. If you wait 15 seconds every time, then it's going to take an additional 90 seconds for that to pay off.
Yeah, and he only had 76 last hits. He had a hard time in that lane up against that Shadow Shaman. He was being very aggressive against him. Remember, he did rush those boots and got the wand up and running, and was able to use his mana to really keep Invoker from getting off to the start Invoker wanted. I think that that's still sort of showing at his farm rate right now.
What is Gyrocopter working on? Is that going to be Naganums for that Ogre club? Or is that a Heaven's Halberd? Or is it a Necronomic? No, that's the wrong item. Wow, what is wrong with me? It's been a long day, Toffees. But yeah, no,
it has been.
I'm wondering what he could be going, because the Ganum's not what I would typically consider the best of Gyrocopter's item choices in a game where he's going to be the primary DPS.
So you're interesting. You're asking where the Org Club is going. I mean, it really doesn't have a ton of options. We're looking at what's Sangjasha and Agams, because he already has the BKB there.
Yeah, or it could go into the Sangha, into the Heaven's Halberd.
That's true.
But getting Maim on a ranged hero, also not usually, particularly a ranged agility hero. Not usually the most common of choices.
I think he's going to go Ags, and I think this is why he's going to go Ags. We've seen the power of the Vacuum Disruptor combo and the wards they've been executing, and that call down has been very strong to react to that. I don't know if you noticed that last team fight, he got 2 kills out of that call down because of the way that SNA +4 is kind of having to come together to execute these. So I think that he's going to go Ags, and I think he's going to try to increase that damage from the call down, because it has been very effective thus far.
I also think he's going Ags. I just don't know that I agree with the item choice, but we'll have to see how it works out. Very nice counter warding coming out of Bidman, using the illusions to knock down that ward.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ghost Scepter is up on the Tippersaw along with the Blade Mail. He's only level 11, but he's actually managed to catch up. To the Ancient Apparition and the Disruptor.
Are you really yawning?
I was kind of choking, to be quite honest.
You woke up at like 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, well, that's really early for me, Toffees. You don't have any understanding of what my life is like. You don't know the trouble that I go through when I wake up.
You think you know, but you have no idea.
Yeah, you don't know the rough life I live, the post-noon life. Oh my gosh.
That's entertaining. So take a look at the towers right now. Pretty even as far as the tower count goes. 1 additional going to the way of SNA +4. Gold, however, was down at the 12,000 mark for a while.
Sangha is out on Gyrocopter, so he does go for the Sangha. That's either going to be a Heaven's Halberd or Sangha and Yasha. Still a little early to call. Either way, I don't know that it's the best of item choices for him. I guess the Heaven's Halberd will help against the Spectre, but a lot of Spectre's damage just comes from Spectre getting hit. So I don't know if disarming is really the way to go. I feel like maybe just straight up damage would probably be a stronger choice, but we'll have to see how Bukutani decides to end up playing this out. And I don't want to count it out too early.
Over in the
There's
mid,
gonna be
Shadow
Tornado
Shaman.
as Oosh is going to go ahead and just tap the BKB and TP away.
Nice. Good
That's
play
good
by
awareness. Yeah.
That is great awareness. And but I was saying a little earlier is that gold dropped all the way down to a 12,000. I'm sorry, a 14,000 advantage for SNA 4, and they pulled it back up to 8, and it's starting to drop back down now. So AFDP not allowing themselves to be counted out of this fight and doing a good job of keeping themselves in.
Yeah, as long as they continue to get 4,000 gold swings in their favor, I'd say that is the makings of a victory. However, they really need to cordon off this bleeding because they're suffering from a slow bleed, as well as the fast drops from the lost team fights. They're also suffering from the fact that Spectre is just playing farming faster than everybody else.
Yeah.
And he's starting to peel away a little bit from the Gyrocopter again. Gyrocopter is an awe-inspiring flash farmer, but a Spectre with a Radiance is going to give him a run for his money, and Oosh is going to go ahead and be surged. He's going to go around the long way and give Bukotani plenty of time to pop that BKB and just walk away. A little bit of miscommunication between IS Mike and Ooks, I expect.
And that may be the first miscommunication of this match. So
Everyone
we'll
gets
forgive
one.
it. Everybody gets one. And that said, it looks like SNA +4 gathering down towards this bottom lane. And in the mid time, AFDP gathering up towards that mid. So both teams stacking up, knowing that it's time. This is sort of go time right here at the 28 minutes. Maybe Roche comes back up and you wait for that. But we're looking at a team fight in the next 5 that's probably going to determine the way that this match continues to go.
Yeah, I'd literally just gone up to check the Roche timer right before they moved up here because I was sensing that it was about time for them to be moving in on it. They kind of need that in order to assert themselves in these fights. Though, honestly, should go up on the Spectre at this point rather than up on the Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman, a cooldown-dependent hero, even with all the farm that he has, really not able to assert himself as significantly as the Spectre will be able to with that Aegis. Spectre, of course, does damage across an entire team every time he gets hit. And having to kill him twice is just extremely painful in terms of damage output from the Well, I'm going to come back to that because the entire AFDP squad is going to explode under the face of certain wards. Bidman is also going to go down here to the Ether Shock. And if that wasn't going to be an Aegis before, it's going to be an Aegis now. But they're going to chase down the Gyrocopter, or the Invoker as well.
So Invoker does manage to get away from there. They will go ahead and go back in and get themselves that Aegis. And a nice play by SNA +4 that puts them right... I mean, they were already in control of this match at this point, and that pretty much solidifies it for them.
That is going to be the Aghanim's for Shadow Shaman as well. It's coming out to him. Aghanim's on Shadow Shaman is going to be troubled. Those Serpent Wards are still tearing up AFDP. Like, they still haven't quite gotten to the point where the wards are not scary because Shadow Shaman is leveling up so quickly that he's got level 17 while Timbersaw's still level 11. He's got a level 3 wards before Timbersaw, before Earthshaker, and before Rubik have really gotten any sort of life or regen in order to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So Sangan Yasha does come out for Bukotani. That... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Do you see the rationale behind that? Because I'm just honestly not seeing what compelled him to grab that item.
Yeah, I mean, the movement speed's nice, and I don't get the MAME. I think that's sort of a cast off. The stats are good. I just, like I said, I don't get it. I mean, I thought he was going for an Ag simply because I didn't see Sange and Yasha being a good fit for him here. But that's why I don't play at this level. So at the end of the day, I'm sure he's got a great reason, and maybe we ask him about it in the next match.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, too. A lot of the advantage that comes out of the Sangar Yasha is going to be that MAME. And when you're flat cannoning, you're only going to hit one target with that. So why not maximize the amount of damage you're able to output with flat cannon, which is the basis of that hero's late game ability, rather than increase his ability to chase a little bit. Also, I mean, obviously Sangar Yasha gives a decent amount of health and a decent amount of attack speed and damage, but nowhere near as much as something like, say, a Monkey King bar.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I fundamentally disagree with the pick, and not because I'm one of these people who hates Sangar Yasha. I think there's a time and a place for it, but I just don't think that this is it.
Fair enough. So duly noted, Gorgon not a fan of Sangan Yasha in this particular situation.
And Gyrocopter being forced off of this top tier 2 tower. He's falling back here, and they're just going to rotate in for the next tier 2 tower. And they might pick themselves up. Yeah, they're going to pick up a Dark Troll Summoner on the way. No more stacks for Gyrocopter. Now, poor Dark Troll didn't even get a chance to do a single stack.
Yeah, he literally just arrived there. And it looks like this could be that push. It's kind of a little slow here in the last couple of minutes as both teams figuring things out.
There's
Nice
the
glimpse back,
kinetic
puts him
field.
right in.
Bugratani saving his BKB for the last possible minute. Maybe not the right call here as the rest of the squad has come over. There's going to be the call down. SNA taking a lot of damage. The homing missile coming in, and he's got no support from his team whatsoever. Actually, the rest of AFDP coming up behind. Rubik is going to go ahead and throw out here. There's going to be the Timbersaw throwing down Timber Chain. Ice Mike is trying to get him down with the Ion Shell. Timbersaw is going to go down from the illusions from the wall. Meanwhile, Ush is going to go ahead and catch down. Wow. I can't even continue what I was going to say. Everybody dropped so quickly.
Yeah.
I could not get through it.
Well,
Partially because of my fatigue and partially because, well, dang, that was fast.
And the GG does come out. I mean, it was inevitability. We knew that once that team fight came out, with the advantage that SNA +4 had in this match, that it was going to be a pretty fast kill, and that we were going to see the GG after that. It was just a matter of finding the right position to do it. And I think them getting that early attack on Aspiration all by himself gave them the confidence to move into a bad spot.
All right, well, we are looking forward to game number 2 of this best-of-3 series between AFDP and SNA +4 here at the CEVO Season 4. My name is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. If you do want to catch up on all of my casting here and elsewhere, go ahead and catch me over at GotCowDota on Twitter for Dota-related stories and musings. And as always, I'm joined by Toffees.
It's good to have you guys. If you enjoyed the cast, please head over to Twitter, follow me at Toffees_.